going to be talking about animal tracks, bites, scats, and more. But before we get started, I just want to let you know if you need translation for Spanish or Portuguese, feel free to comment that in the chat, and Sarah, our host, can give you some instructions on that. Also, if you have any questions or comments or concerns the entire time, you can just comment them right in there, and Sarah will relay that to me, and we can talk about our ideas and explore some things together. Why don't we start walking over to our site, and I'll talk a little bit about who I am and what Farrington Nature Link is, and exactly what we're going to be looking for today. So, my name's Will, Farrington Nature Link, and that's Chris filming, and Sarah, again, is our host. Farrington Nature Link is a nonprofit based in Lincoln, Massachusetts. Oh, Chris! Look at that! First sign of an animal. That's a big one. That there's from a horse. That's from a horse. You can tell because similar to other ungulates, like four-legged creatures that drop pellets, small little balls of poop, these ones are really big. That's how you know it's from a horse. And there's a lot of hay. If you look inside it, there's a lot of hay. So when you look at scat's another word for animal poop, you can see what they've been eating. We're going to keep talking about scat a little bit later as we go on, but let me finish what I was saying. So Farrington Nature Link, it's a nonprofit based in Lincoln, Massachusetts. And our mission, oh, there's the sun. Feels so good. Our mission is to help get urban underserved youth from low-income communities outdoors with an emphasis on health and wellness. And you might ask yourself, well, Will, what does getting outside have to do with health and wellness? Well, being outdoors helps reduce your risk of depression, helps reduce your risk of anxiety, and it just feels really good. Even on a kind of cold, brisk, windy day like today, having the sun shining, and getting to spend some time 6 feet away from my friend Chris makes me really happy. And we've been finding all sorts of awesome things we're really excited to share with you today. So what are we looking for? We are looking for animal bites, so evidence that animals have been chewing on something. We're looking for animal scat, and scat, like we were talking about, is another word for animal poop. So evidence that they've been pooping in different places. And you can tell a lot about which animal is which by those two things. And then something that you might be more familiar with, we're going to be looking for animal tracks. And we're heading out today, we're going to be kind of near another body of water. If you've watched our previous videos, we've explored vernal pools. We've explored flowing water yesterday in the stream. And today we're going to be exploring something a little bit different. We're going to be exploring more of a swamp wetland. And this one in particular is dominated by marshes and cattails. There's some folks out there, some other people enjoying the outdoors. A quick note about that is that we're going to be really focused on safety today. We're going to be focused on staying at least 6 feet away from each other and doing the proper things to get outside. It's probably like 40 degrees outside and gusting real quick. So I got my wool hat, got some warm gloves, layers on top, so if I get warm I can take them off, or cold I can put them on. And I got my waterproof boots, because we're going to be tromping around in some probably pretty muddy places. Yeah, the things that we're going to be looking for: deer, beaver, muskrat. If you don't know what a muskrat is, it's kind of like a small version of a beaver, and instead of chewing on wood, they chew on reeds or grasses. Snakes. We're going to look for some evidence of snakes. And that's all I can think about the top of my head. Fine. If you are interested in getting outside places near you, even if you live in a city, there are loads of amazing places that you can check out outside. Even though that means going for a walk down the street where there are some trees, going to a public park, or if you have access, head out to Middlesex Fells Reservation, Blue Hills Reservation. And if you come outdoors in beautiful places like this, a little bit farther from the city, we're only about 20 minutes from Cambridge, and like where we are. It's incredible. Yeah, let's see here. What did we find earlier? Let's check it out. Where was that guy? Oh, here we are. Look at this. Come on down here. Got something cool we can look at together. Right here, we have some coyote scat. Here, let me get out a stick so I can be a little bit farther from Chris. Got a couple tools with me today One of them is this handy net. You might find some tadpoles with it, but you can also use it as a pointer. This is coyote scat, and the way that we can tell is it's rope-like. It's a common characteristic. And when we say rope-like, we mean that it looks like it's kind of this tangled, ropey knot. The other thing we can tell that it's coyote scat from is that we can see what it's been eating. If you look closely, what do you see in there? What do you see in there? And Sarah, you can give me an answer if you see something too. I don't know what you're thinking.
I was worried that it was a snake, Will, but I'm glad you told me that it's actually just rope-like scat from a coyote. Although I do like snakes.
Yeah, yeah, snakes, it's totally believable that if you were walking down this path and you saw that on the ground, you could think it's some sort of snake. It does look kind of like that, but no snakes to worry about. This is a nice furry coyote scat. So I bet this was probably eating something like a squirrel or maybe a rabbit, because there's fur in there and it's all gray. That's how you can tell something interesting like that. So let's keep going. Let's see what else we're gonna find today out here. I got a couple tools with me today. I got my net so we can bring it through the water and see what we can find. It's also a nice poker. I have a few more things in my bag. If I open this guy on up, I got my notebook in case I want to write about the things that I'm finding or thinking about outside. I have my water bottle. So if I'm thirsty, I can take a drink of water and stay hydrated. Actually, I'm going to do that right now. I'm feeling kind of thirsty. And I got one more thing. I got a banana. So we can have our snack later. We need one. It's important when you come outside to bring the right tools. And even if you're not feeling thirsty, it's a good thing to drink water. Because it just keeps you healthy, keeps you energized, and feeling good. All right. Let's see what we got going on over here. So Chris spends a lot of time out in this part of Lincoln, and he said something really interesting to me earlier. We were on this rock pile here, and he said that he finds a lot of snakes inside this rock pile. There are a couple of common types of snakes that you'll see around Massachusetts. You'll see garter snakes. You might see black racers. Both of those are harmless. Garter snakes are the most common ones. People often call them gardener, but that's not quite right. It's garter. And those are usually gray with maybe some yellow. Black racers are black and they're really fast. And if you're really lucky, maybe not out here, but in the Blue Hills Reservation in western Massachusetts, you might even see a rattlesnake, which I think it's amazing that those live in Massachusetts because people always think they live in the desert, but they're one of the most versatile snakes in the world. They can live in all sorts of different habitats, and they're actually pretty harmless. They're way more scared of you than you are of them. It's only if you corner them would they ever bite you. And if that happens, you'll be totally fine, as long as you get medical treatment, even within like 24 hours. So people get scared of them, but they don't really need to. And then something else I saw here, Chris, check this out right down here. This is a great piece of evidence of animals. This is a hole right here, and it's just about the width of this, what's this called, net here, the handle of this net. And if there's snakes that live in these rocks, I bet that's a snake hole. Well, that's a snake hole. If you were a snake, you'd fit right in there perfectly. Probably slither under these rocks. Right now, all the snakes that are living in here are probably sleeping because it's really cold outside, and they get to, when it's cold outside, they start slowing down, and they're a little less active. But when it's hot outside, if you come here on a sunny day, you'll probably find all sorts of snakes out here sitting on these rocks, sunbathing, getting that warmth inside their bodies and feeling really good. Just like people like to sunbathe. You get outside, you lie down in the sun, and you get to absorb that energy. You feel nice and happy. I think that's really neat. Yeah, so it's kind of fun to imagine that as we walk over this pile of rocks, we're actually stepping over probably a whole bunch of snakes. Okay, before I talk about what we're gonna find right in this little patch, maybe Chris, if you just want to take the camera, kind of sweep over some of the things we might be seeing, let's let people explore that for a second on their own. Then we'll talk about some signs of animals we might find. Wow. Just standing right here, I can see animal tracks. I can see animal bites. I can't see any scat right now, but I can even see an animal den. And another word for den is a home, or a little house. So let's start with feet first. What's at our feet? Let's take it on down here. You might see a couple tracks in the mud here. Maybe an animal that wanted to come down here and drink this water. What kind of animal do you think these tracks are from? What do you guys think? It has hooves, you can tell, because they're just two little points. Whereas if it was something with a foot, it might have fingers or toes as hooves. Oh, never mind. I thought I got excited. Saw something else. I want to touch on that in just a sec. These are deer tracks. And judging by them, there's probably a whole bunch of deer, maybe at least 3 or 4 walking by. And you can see they're going in 2 different directions. There are these deer tracks here, these ones that are pointing towards me. You can tell they're pointing towards me because the back of the deer track is kind of curved. This one's pointing towards me too. That one's pointing towards me too. But then there's some deer tracks going the other way. Oh, man, am I sore. Let's see. Right here, kind of layered on top of one, it's curved in the back, which means it's heading the other direction. And there's some other tracks here that are curved in the other direction as well. And that makes you think this is probably like a deer highway walking right through here on the mud. And believe it or not, we're standing on something really special. We're standing on a beaver den right now, but we're going to explore that in just a little bit. Not den, dam rather, a beaver dam. We're going to talk a little bit about what that is when we see some more clear signs of it. But right out there, hey Chris, maybe we can go. Oh, actually, let's talk about beavers first. Check this out. If you look at this wood here, it looks like a tree was growing up out of the ground here, and it's all over the place. And it comes to this little point, and that's where a beaver came along, and it went right for that wood and just bit in a circle around it like, arr, 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 using its 2 big front teeth to chew on that wood until the branch fell, and it could take it out to build the beaver dam and the beaver den, both of which we'll get to see in just a little bit. You can even see the bite marks if you look really closely. They're almost at different heights. Here, I'll take this off. Where there's little bumps here, and then it comes over a ridge, and there's a little bump here. And it's probably starting in this direction, ate this way until it came to a point, and then the tree cracked and fell right here, and it put it back in its mouth and dragged it off to build its home and its dam with. I think that's so cool. Sometimes you'll find trees that have been chewed on by beavers, but not completely knocked down. And those are great examples of a beaver maybe just sharpening its teeth. Because if a beaver doesn't eat wood, its teeth slowly keep growing, and sometimes they can hurt their lower lip. So they need to do that to survive. And a great example of that is right over here. Right over here. You'll see there's a tree gonna be eaten by a beaver, and then they stopped partway through. You guys see that? That's amazing. Sarah, I got a question for you. Can you hear me all right with the wind?
Yeah, mostly I can hear you, Will. Sometimes the wind is like right now it's blowing really loud, but that's okay. That's just
I summoned it by saying its name by accident. Okay, so if you look out over there, it's kind of hard to see it. Maybe, Chris, I'll get out of your way so you can come join me over here. There's something really cool. You guys see that out there? It looks like it's kind of a pile of mud. And these reeds here, these big tall grasses are called cattails. It's kind of a piled up bunch of cattails and mud. And what lives out there is a muskrat. Can you see it on the camera, Chris? That's a muskrat den. And a muskrat it kind of looks like a little beaver. They're really cute. They're rodents. They're brown. They're maybe the size, here, Chris, they're probably about this size of my arms, kind of cradled like that. But they're real sweeties. And I had a really cool close muskrat encounter the other day where I was walking along a trail by some water. And there's a muskrat just sitting by the side of the trail, chewing on these cattails. And I just walked a couple feet right by it, and we just looked at each other for a couple minutes. And then I kept walking, and he just kept eating the cattails. A little bit of symbiosis, where 2 things in nature are coming together and supporting each other. Pretty neat. All right, let's follow these deer tracks across this. Oh man, I stepped on a whole bunch of them. Well, you see the deer tracks coming across this bridge here. Let's follow them and see where they go. Let's see. I'm gonna try and not step on many of them if I can help it. Keep looking for them. Oh boy. If you look on either side of us, there's water, and we're walking on this really thin piece of land that goes across all of it. And all of this, believe it or not, is part of a really big beaver dam. When you get close to me here, you can see that a beaver took a piece of wood, chewed it off the tree, and it dragged it right over here and stacked it up against this pile of dirt and sticks. If you think about a beaver using just its mouth and its paws to do all of that work, and you look across this whole structure that we're walking across, it must have taken a really, really long time to do that. Probably years of its life, and maybe even multiple generations. And that means that its kids came out here and kept building it. Beavers can live between 10 and 15 years old at the most, and they probably spend most of their life building a dam just like this. And what it's doing is, if you imagine that a stream is coming down from upriver up there, the stream used to be coming right through here, and a beaver decided to build a dam. And that dam, it's this pile of dirt and sticks that's been piling up over years and years. That dam stops the water and slows it down. And that water fills up what was a little valley at some point with water. And it floods it. And it creates a great habitat for cattails to live in, which beavers like to eat. Later in the springtime, you'll come out here and probably see lily pads, water lilies, which beavers also love to eat. And it's amazing because not only is it providing food for the beaver, but subsequently, it's also providing a great place for fish to live, for frogs to live, and all sorts of other things. Let's keep walking. Let's go check it out. Well, if you're really lucky, you'll see me fall in. There's all these cool, I just think it's amazing. As we keep walking, you just see these sticks that beavers have eaten and come and dragged over here. They put them in the water because the wood floats, so it's easier for the beaver to bring it over here. And they just keep building it up year after year, year after year. Chris, there's some great deer tracks right over here. Oh man, I love to imagine that deer come out here at dusk or dawn, early or late in the day, because that's when they're the most active. And they just walk across here. It's a little deer highway across this body of water from one place to the next. You know, the beaver probably never thought about that when it was building this dam, but it's helping all these other animals out. And it's just this really beautiful way of nature supporting itself. Such a cool example. Yeah, right here where we're getting to in this area, once Chris comes on over, it's a high stakes walk. Easy to fall in here, you'll get soaked. It's pretty deep. Oh, nice. Look at that. All along here, this area, there's all this beaver action where they've been chopping big trees, like that, maybe smaller pieces, like this, where they just chewed off the end. But they just stack them up, stack them up, stack them up over years. Imagine dedicating your life to building one dam with your mouth. And that's just what they do. It sounds pretty peaceful and happy to me. They don't really have too many predators out here. If you don't know what a predator is a kind of animal that's eating other ones. So there aren't too many animals that live out here that eat beavers. A coyote, maybe if it's lucky, but it's unlikely. So the beaver can just live its whole life without fear of being eaten, and just kind of create a beautiful habitat for itself. Chris, if you turn around, we got another piece of some animal activity. What do you see in there? Floating in the water, there's some rusty metal that looks like a little bit of a gate. And that's an activity of a type of animal you know probably pretty well. That's some people activity. This makes me think of last time Chris and I were talking about beaver dams. We found a whole bunch of pistachio shells that somebody left behind. And this is probably built here to help actually alleviate, or rather to help, how do I describe this? So when the beaver dam was created, filled up this area with water, people probably came here to help take some of that water away from that pond that was created, help drain it out the bottom, and it enters this whole field, this whole area, and helps the water keep flowing. But I think the beavers won on this one. Chris and I were talking about that on the way over here. People tried to prevent it, but the beavers just kept building a dam, and they're not going to stop, because why should they? They're doing their thing, and maybe we'll just have to put up with it. Let's see here. This is kind of a tricky part. Ooh, it's really windy. Way bigger beaver activity out here. Yeah, and that coyote scat that Chris and I found earlier makes me think that coyotes probably use this as a bridge all the time also. So let's think of all the animals that live here. We have muskrats using this as a little bridge, a little highway. We have people, that's 2, because Chris and I are here right now. We have deer, that's 3. Coyote, that's 4. Did I say muskrats? Maybe. Yeah, muskrats. People take their dogs, that's 6. That's 6. And I bet there's other things that use this too. Maybe raccoons. Let's just lump raccoons in there. I'll say that's 7. I could imagine a bunny going on a journey. Something like make that 8. Geese, 9. Yeah, geese probably walk across this all the time, or fly because they have the wings. But potato, potato. And a little jump. Woo. Chris, let's take a cattail break. Take a break from walking and talk about the plants that we see right here. So this long, tall, reedy grass, it's called a cattail. Any reasons why you think it might be called a cattail? What do you think? Well, I'll tell you, there's all this soft, fluffy fur right up here. And this is actually the seeds of the cattail. And on a windy day like today, if you take this guy and you beat it like that, wow, it's getting in my face. What do you see flying? What do you see flying up there into the distance? All those seeds are going, they're flying away in the wind, and they're going to disperse. That means they're going to spread out, and they're going to find places on the ground to land, and they're going to plant more cattails. Cattails love watery environments like this, and when cattails are fresh and they're growing, you can actually eat them. My friend Josh showed me that. Well, he talked to me about it. But someday soon, if I'm lucky, he'll show me. I'll get to eat a cattail. Small disclaimer about eating things you find outside. Only if you have a professional knowledge. Keep getting cattail in my face. Only eat things you find outdoors if you have a professional helping you or you're positive of what it is. So if you go walking in the woods, you can find an interesting looking mushroom. Don't eat it because it could be poison. If you go outside and you see cattail and you're like, oh, Mr. Will said I could put this in my mouth and try it, don't do that. I'm not even a professional on eating cattails, so I wouldn't recommend doing that. Let's keep going. That's a nice cattail break. Let's see what's going on here. As we go, there's all this great evidence of animal tracks. You can tell something's been here because all the cattails in this area are smoothed down, they're flattened down, so something was climbing through here. Wow. And Chris was saying to me earlier that right here, if you look out into this patch, you can see it's almost like another little highway, a major path that people used to walk on all the time, but the water is so high right now. If you tuned in for a flowing water episode, we were talking about the water table, where water rises and falls in the springtime when it's raining and the snow's melting. Right now, it's early spring, so all that snow's melted. It rained really hard yesterday, so that means there's a lot more water in this pond. That means it came up and it flooded this trail. So the trail is no longer usable unless you have really good boots on. But that's okay, because we're going to keep going. We don't need it. Let's see here. Oh, here's another great den. What I think happened here, we're going to talk about that other one in just a sec. Yeah, because that's the best one. What I think happened here is if you look, there's a big old flattened out patch with a little trail that runs through it. And something was definitely hanging out here for a while because it's a nice big open area. And I have a feeling that a goose or maybe a couple geese spent a night here. If you imagine you're a goose, you get to nestle down in these cattails. You're protected from the wind. No predators, unless they're using the bridge, can come and get you. And it's just a nice, comfy, soft place to lie down. Because that looks like, to me, not that big. That looks like it's goose-sized. It'd be awesome to find some goose scat, because that would really confirm it for us. I don't see any in there. All right. We got a special den for you guys. Big time den. Huge boy. Chris, you want me to get out of your way so you can come over here? Here. You got it? You can see it? What do you see out there? It's about, oh, beautiful. Black-capped chickadee out there. That's a big one. Big den. Maybe like 6 feet tall, something like that. Maybe 5. Made out of a lot of mud. But unlike the muskrat one, which had a bunch of cattails in it, this one is much larger and it's made mostly out of sticks. It's mostly made out of sticks. Can you guys recall what animal was using the sticks to build the dam that we're walking on? What do you think? That's a beaver den right over there. And what a beaver den looks like, Chris, can you see that kind of aquatic highway there where the water is running over the beaver den? You see that trail of water? What a beaver would do to get inside is it would swim along that trail of water, swim, 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 and it would get to its den, and it would actually swim underneath the outside of the den. There's almost like a floating wall. It swims underneath it, and in the inside of that big mound of mud and sticks, there's a little patch of dirt. There's a soft, dry area on the inside, so it swims underneath the outside of its den. It pops up in the inside, and it's in its own impervious shelter there. No animals, no predators like coyotes, or back in the day, there are no wolves in Massachusetts anymore, but in the 1800s, you might have seen a wolf out here. It's a place where no predators can get to. It's completely protected from the outside. It's warm, it's dry, they can spend all winter there, and it's a great place to raise young beavers. If a beaver lives for 10 or 15 years, at about 3 years old or so, he'll start mating, having young baby beavers. And once a baby beaver grows up in the den to about 3 years old, it goes off and starts a new life in another spot. So this beaver probably has been here, I don't know, that's a huge den, Chris, maybe like at least 7 or 8 years is my guess. Imagine, not only are you building your dam, but every year you're stocking more wood on top of your den. You're helping build it up, build it up, build it up. You know, you might have a reading room. You might have your patio, a kitchen, dressing room. You can have a whole little beaver mansion in there. So that's what they've been working on their whole life. And I can guarantee you that there's probably a beaver living in there right now, because they like to live there over and over again. Mating for life, finding another beaver to fall in love with and spend the rest of their life with, living inside that place. Pretty spectacular creatures. What do we got for time? Yeah, a minute or two left. Heck, why not? Okay, excuse me. Whoa. Excuse me, cattail. Excuse me, cattail. If you don't know what a tadpole is, it's a baby frog. It's a great time of year to find them. They're like a frog, but they don't have legs yet. They just have a long tail. But as that tadpole grows up, it's going to grow 4 legs, and that tail's going to pop out of its body. It's going to lose it. We found one earlier. Let's do some digging. Back. Another scoop down there. Oh, big scoops. Big scoops. Oh, I do? Think so? Let's see. I'm not sure. I'm seeing just some mud. Let's see. There's a long stick, like a piece of a cattail in there. No luck. Let's see if we can do it again. I'm gonna try this area over here. Oh. No luck on the cattail front there. That's okay. or not catfish, tadpole. Some days you get the tadpole and some days you don't. I can give it one more scoop and then we'll probably sign off for the day. Oh, yeah. Woo! Oh, geez. Oh, it's windy. No luck. Well, some days you tadpole and some days you don't. It's a windy one. I hear beautiful outdoors of Eastern Massachusetts. And just want to say thanks for tuning in, spending time with Chris and I outside and learning about some interesting things. All right. Take it easy. Hope you're well during these crazy times. And I'll catch you probably in a couple days. Bye.